What is up, guys? So I know the last video wasn't per se good. Um, like comparison how the X-Men have always sort of been like, and I know I might offend a couple people when I say this, but like X-Men's always kind of dealt with racism, but throughout the X-Men, I don't know. Okay, it was the first one. I apologize. I had no script. I was trying to rush to hang out with someone. I know this one's even worse because I have this on. I know I look like a child predator. I'm sorry. I should have shaved before this. But I'm trying to get this video out. Please understand. Anyways, so today we will be ranking the first Spider-Man movie. So, here's my thoughts on the first Spider-Man movie.
I mean, it's alright. Like, overrated as in my opinion. I mean, and you know what though? That's typically how the bullshit goes. You feel me?
It's weak. No, I'm not gonna lie, it's hella weak. Sorry, I'm putting up the tier listing. So basically, right here, this is what my opinion is of the movie.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this. I win every time because I'm the best, and so are you.
But first, I'm going to rank it because you'll see why I'm ranking it first this time. It's D tier. I'm sorry. I love Toby. Like I'll explain to you my thought process through this. So this was one of my favorite movies growing up. At the time I hated the Avengers. I'll explain why when it comes to the Avengers video, which should be out. Let's see. How much further along on the tier list are we? We're gonna have to wait a long time. Avengers movie. It's number 14. So if we keep going the rate that we're at, wait, 7 weeks. So holy shit. Okay, I promise I'll try to get more out as fast as possible. We'll try to do 2, hopefully 3 a week. We'll see. Anyways, and so like I said, I love this movie as a kid. It was one of my favorites. I love seeing Peter. I love the story of it, but that's because I was a little kid and I just love seeing Spider-Man. I mean, what little kid doesn't love seeing Spider-Man? If you don't love Spider-Man when you're a kid, I understand. If you're a superhero fan and you don't love Spider-Man when you're a kid, you might need to seek out some mental help, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so for me, this is sort of why I'm ranking this far down, D tier. It might change as I see other movies, especially after I see Thor Dark World. We already know where that's going. You know, I'm just gonna move it to where it should be right now. Thor the Dark World. Right there. I'm already there we go. That's where this belongs. I apologize to any F tier movies. This is the new list for now on. That's how it's gonna look. Anyways, that's besides the point. So, this is, well, what my opinion is on the movie. When I was making my script, because this time I decided to make a script, I decided not to be a dumbass. When I was making it, it was so hard for me to make a good, solid 5-minute review, explain why I like it, all that stuff. I'm already at 5 minutes. We might have to cut all this out, some of this out now. But it was so hard for me to do that because this movie, it has good points, but that's mainly the nostalgia. Like, think about it, honestly, be honest. Who here truly loves Tobey Maguire's movies that thinks they're the best? And it's not because of nostalgia. Be honest. Not that many people. I mean, there's a few people, but I mean, his acting is, like, look, this is one of the things I say, right? Toby, okay, one thing I don't like about Toby's acting, it's very bland. I mean, we see all of his emotions like colors, but if we only saw 7 main colors of the rainbow on a TV or a movie, well, then nothing would look good. That's like Toby's acting. We see the most basic BS ever. I mean, look at Andrew. You see the way when Gwen Stacy's neck snapped? Okay, that was horrible. We're keeping that in because we love horrible stuff. It's funny. But I mean, when her neck snapped, we saw a full range of emotions. We saw everything. And that's what I love. So that's why Toby's is, okay. Anyways, this is truly how I would fix, well, this movie. So number one, I wouldn't make Peter as much of a loser as he is. Now you're probably asking, well, he's not that much of a loser. Stop the BS. Bro, man, straight up, the bus goes on without him. Sees what's happening. And that just happens. Like, this kid, and I'm a stickler to the comics. Of course, like I said at the time, I didn't know that. But now I know more about the comics, I don't entirely like it. I mean, look at Andrew and Tom's. They're not true nerds. Like, they're not losers. Like, they're nerds, but, like, they're not losers. Andrew has a skateboard. Anyways, that's besides the point. So, I would make it so he and MJ are friends, but she doesn't see him as anything more than that for right now. What I mean by this is, let's say, right, you have school friends. They are mainly school friends. Even though they live next to each other, they don't really talk to each other. Like, she says hi, she talks, blah, 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 but it's nothing more than that. Which would bring in that good element of sort of him still being a little bit invisible to her, right? Anyways, next I would bring in Harry. A bit more popular. The reason I would mainly do this is because when we see Harry in the comics, he's a popular guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's like, no, he's straight up popular. I mean, in the Spectacular Spider-Man, I'll see if I can find the clip. Man's throwing a party when I think that's when Venom first shows up. I'm pretty sure he's throwing a party.
I thought we were watching a movie.
Me too. But apparently we're watching half the school party down at Harry's house instead.
The whole school, actually. Except for the ones who weren't invited.
And he has a lot of friends. Same thing in the comics. I mean, Harry's a popular guy, and I don't see why they make him seem unpopular. Like, for example, right? When we see Harry and when we see Flash... Why am I saying Flash? Well, technically, yeah, Flash is in the scene, but when we see Harry and Peter, they're talking blah, 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 and then Flash picks on Peter and also Harry. That should not be the case. I mean, this is literally what my opinion is. If they make him more popular, then it will make his relationship with Peter even stronger, because then, like, there's a reason. Okay, I'm not. There we go. Oh, shoot. This camera's about to die. We can get this in time. Anyways, so when we see this, right, Harry seems sort of just like Peter. I mean, a bit cooler, but Flash makes fun of him. They're like, when Harry says, hey, knock it off, I don't remember the exact line. He says, what are you gonna do? Tell your dad to fire my dad? Like, nah, they should not, like, they were being mean, I'm pretty sure, to also Harry, if I remember correctly. And that shouldn't be the case. You should just tell him to knock it off, and then, like, Flash knocks it off. So next, in the eyes of the community, right, I'm not saying this, MJ's kind of seen as a bit of, what's the proper word, a man-hopper. I can't say anything else because this is supposed to be somewhat. Kids can watch this. What I mean by this is, if you're not looking at the exact timing of the movie, MJ falls in love with 4 guys in the movie, right? 4 guys. And in between 2 of the relationships, she likes Spider-Man throughout them, right? So first we start off with Flash, then she goes on to Harry, likes Harry, but then eventually she starts liking Spider-Man while still being with Harry. Then she likes Spider-Man, then she starts to like Peter while liking Spider-Man. Like, I get it's like a superhero crush, right? But it's just the fact that, like, they just gloss over that fact that makes it so... And you could say, yes, well, it was over a series of time, which is something I did look at, but usually when you're going into the movies, the first time you're watching it, or like a couple times you watch it, you're not noticing how, when they start off, it's in, what, I'm gonna guess, February, because of the way the weather was? February, maybe March. Maybe. Tiny amount is March, but it's like February. Usually in New York City, schools end around June. right? They end around June like 20th to 30th. So there's like a 4-month span that she's with Harry throughout then. Then we go to, that she's with Flash. Then we go to her being with Harry, right? And that's a little bit during the summer while they're like trying to get like before college even starts and everything. And then we see her starting to like Spider-Man. Then eventually they all break up, and like this is around the time of Thanksgiving, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So she's not exactly as much of like man hopping like if you looked at the actual time for time, but that's just me. Okay, so now let's get into the story. Oh, one last thing before I get into why I was doing the story. The main reason why I don't want her to be like that is because with this version of MJ, we don't have as much of an emotional attachment as we do with, let's say, for Gwen Stacy, right? Like, we saw her death coming, but when she died, it was actually sad. I mean, they still bring that up in No Way Home. I'm sorry, spoilers. We'll mention spoiler warning in the beginning of the video. We'll figure it out. But I mean, yeah, that's what happens. They mention that when they're mentioning all the MJs. And that's how much of an impact it still has on the audience and everything. Like, when we see that scene where Andrew catches her, like, 10 out of 10. I mean, if it wasn't for that connection with Gwen, we would not have that scene. And that's what makes it so special. Okay, sorry. Now we will finally get into how I reimaged the movie. Okay, so to start the movie, kind of do the same thing. Him running to catch up to the bus, Alma and MJ saying stop, let him on the bus, yada yada yada, right? Then Alma, same thing. She asks him if he's okay. Wait, actually, does she? Damn, if she doesn't, that's kind of move. I don't know why I'm bleeding myself out. I can do it later. I'm so family friendly these days. Y'all should really subscribe because of that. You know, if the button's just right there. If it's not red already, just click. I mean, if it is red, click it. You know, that's when you know you're subscribed. I'm truly happy to have a loving stand. Anyways, so then from there, we would cut to museum. So the whole thing where Peter kind of feels invisible to MJ. She waves at her friends. He thinks she's waving at him, and then she sees it. But then we jump to a Flash making fun of Peter, not Harry. The reason I say that is because in this version, like I said, Harry's cooler. There's no reason to kind of make fun of Harry. And then, like, same thing, Harry tells him to knock it off, he does it. Then we keep everything the same. Well, I'll make a few adjustments later, but you'll see that if I say it now, it won't make as much of a sense. It won't. How can I put the wording? It won't make as much sense. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I played kickball earlier. If you want to cancel me, make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Then you can cancel me. Then I'll allow it. Anyways, so we keep everything the same until Uncle Ben's death. The reason I say that is because Peter just lets the robber go, right? And then we cut to Uncle Ben dying. But the part that gets me confused the most is why does Peter like specifically run to that crowd and run through? He's like, excuse me. Like, how does he know it's his uncle? He doesn't even see him. That's why I feel like Peter should be able to get out right as Uncle Ben's like a couple seconds away from being shot. So that way, when Peter's running to Ben, you can see like the emotion build up in him. You can see the anger. Sort of like how it does with Andrew a bit, like, not exactly anger, but like just the sadness, how he feels guilty for all of this. Now, I know you don't want to hear me like blabber on about all of this, blah, 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 but I mean, it's important. I like story. That's the type of person I am. I actually am one of the few people that like Eternals, okay? I know it's strange. Again, if you want to cancel me, comment down below. I'm a sellout. I really am. Anyways, so the reason that I say this is because this can help build up more for the third movie, but we'll get to that when we get to the third movie, which is in, I'm sure it's less than, what? I'm guessing it's like in 6 movies. Yeah, it's in like 4 more after this. So, but the main thing is while he's running over, he starts to think about Ben, he starts crying, and you can see his ugly cry. Put clip right here. That's the ugly cry we all love. And then while you're probably asking, well, how is he going to catch up to him? I mean, how is he going to get away? He can catch up to him easily. Well, no, Peter's going to do the responsible thing and call for an ambulance and wait there. Alright, so now in the real movie, right, we get to that scene where Uncle Ben dies and he chased after the guy. And I looked at it and it's basically exactly halfway through the movie. And I feel like the main villain here, of course, is Goblin. Camera's off center again. And because the main villain's Goblin, I feel like we should spend more time on Goblin, Norman and Peter's relationship. And while yes, I get it, and it's good to set up that relationship with Ben. If they're not gonna, like, you don't see a true impact on Peter throughout this movie, or throughout anything until Spider-Man 3, on Uncle Ben's death. The only impact is really, with great power comes great responsibility. That's it. I mean, yes, you could list out a couple things, but it's not as much as the same thing with Andrew. I mean, when we see Andrew, we see all that pure, raw emotion. We see him literally hunt down people who look just like his uncle's killer to find them. I mean, imagine how much pain and anger he feels. That takes up a good half of the movie. Not even half, sorry. It takes up to like a good 1/4 of the movie, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Because through that's how we see him turn into Spider-Man. And that's a great storyline. It's really good, it truly is. But now, continuing, right? Since we're halfway through the movie, and I would like to include more MJ, Peter, Norman, and like you'll see, why did I say MJ? More Harry, Peter, Norman, you'll see later as I say it. I say we cut most of the Ben and May scenes. Now, the reason I say this is because there's a lot that are really unnecessary, and I'm not saying all of them, I'm just saying the unnecessary ones. Because with this, right, if you're not going to build off of Ben and Peter's relationship a lot, and like who Ben is as a character, there's no reason to include him as much as they did. And I get why, it's just like, to me, and I understand that, like, it's the first time that people are truly introduced to Uncle Ben, the whole backstory, so they have to do it a bit, I think. But I mean, it's just not worth it. But then also another thing, I would cut out about a good half of that MJ Peter backyard talk. And if you don't remember what I'm talking about, it's while Peter's taking out the trash, MJ goes out crying after her stepdad, I'm pretty sure, or maybe it's her father, I don't know, was yelling at her. And the reason that I would cut that in half is because we need that. Like, it kind of humanizes MJ a bit. It makes her seem more like a person that we should actually care about a lot, and we sort of feel bad for her. But a lot of it's really unnecessary. Anyways, to continue. So now I say we focus more on Peter, Harry, and Norman and their relationship, because we see sort of Harry get a bit jealous of Peter throughout this movie a bit. Like, for example, the first time, like when we get the famous line, well, I'm kind of a scientist myself, right? You sort of get to first see Harry a bit jealous of Peter, and because of that jealousy, I think that might be one of the main reasons why he asked out MJ. Probably not, but it could be. It's a possibility. Next thing is then when he gets the science award, right? Then we next see at the graduation, we then see Norman sort of like getting focusing more on Peter than Harry. Which is understandable then, because Norman knows how his uncle died, and he wants to be there for him as sort of like a father figure, which is perfectly reasonable and understandable. But I would just say focus a little bit more on that, so that way it can build up for when we see this little goblin. I'm gonna actually just insert the clip.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
Next, I would still leave the confusion about the dinner plans with Peter, Harry, and MJ, because that scene is sort of when we start to see like Peter and Harry's true relationship, and also how it works with MJ and how it all fits in. It's like a really nice point where we're not focusing as much on Spider-Man, but more on like the characters themselves, which is what I would like to see more of in this movie, which is what they don't do. That's 2002. They care more about action, making money, blah 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 blah. And the reason I want to set up Norman in like these situations, so that way we can get a good connection between Norman, Harry, and how Peter and how Peter affects that. Yeah, I thought I put something else. Because if we do it where it's just basically the way it is now, like, we don't see how much of a connection Norman and Harry has. So then it feels less and less like a betrayal between them. I mean, of course it's his father, it's a betrayal. Like, you see Spider-Man walking in with your dad dead, but it should feel more personal, because then it gives him like a true incentive when he becomes
Hey, little Goblin Jr.
But also with this connection between like Norman and Harry, their relationship is kind of weird, because Norman's focused more on his work, but he also wants to be a good dad. I mean, just look at No Way Home, right? Norman was so confused, scared. He didn't want this anymore. He felt that sort of like a disease, sort of like how Bruce Banner feels about the Hulk. And this way, we get to see a bit more of like a Jekyll and Hyde situation between Norman, and we can start to understand more of who he is as a person. So that way, when he dies at the end of the movie, we start to feel more sad. Then it's just, oh wow, I feel bad for Harry. Like, so we can get that connection that Norman and Peter, well, Tom's Peter has. Well, here's one last thing, right? The main reason, well, not the main reason, but another reason I want it to be like this, because since we see the good in Norman, we get the same reaction we sort of feel with Osborn. I mean, sorry, not with Osborn, with Dr. Ock or Sandman, because when we see that connection with them, right, we start seeing them more as a human, less as just this crazy supervillain. I mean, look at Otto. I mean, he sacrificed his life when he was finally able to take control of his body, when he finally saw what was going on that was bad. Finally, I would keep the ending the same, but put more of a throw on MJ's life, because now that MJ's a better side character and like there's a better relationship, she's actually a good love interest, not just some girl that's widely known in the comics to be the one and only really for Peter. And that would make Peter want to hurt Gollum more, but also keep in mind with great power comes great responsibility, and make sure that he finds that perfect balance. Like, another widely, well, it's not really known, but in the comics, right? No Way Home is kind of based off of the One More Day storyline, where Aunt May, Peter's stuff is found out. He's found out to be Spider-Man, but it's found out he released his own information through the events of Civil War. And then Kingpin tries to send out a hitman to kill Peter, but misses and almost kills Aunt May. And so in the One More Day, what happens is that Peter, just to spend, I'm pretty sure it's to save MJ's life and to reach everything, he gives up his relationship with MJ, right? Basically what happens is that Peter, when Aunt May dies, right? I don't remember in this version, I don't remember if it, because there are two versions of this, and I don't remember if this one actually worked, or something like that, because there was one where it did work, but, what happens, it did work, MJ and Peter's relationship get reset, but before that, before he goes, asking Mephisto, he goes to Kingpin, and he just doesn't hold back. Not 1 second of holding back. Like, man could have straight up destroyed Kingpin, beat him to a pulp. But that's the thing, we don't see this because he's always holding back. He knows that if he lets go, right? Sort of like this scene right here with Superman.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
Right? He knows that if he lets go, that then something really bad, like he will hurt a lot of people, he will most likely kill a lot, and that's not who he wants to be. That's why when we see, like, Peter wanting to kill him so badly, wanting to just let go, but then the restraint that he holds because he has to hold himself to a higher standard than all these villains. Now, I know this is all confusing, but if you rewatch this one time, which you probably won't, I'm not saying this to get more views, okay? But if, like, you think about it truly, this could make the movie so much better because we get the emotional connections that we need, and then the right amount of action that we need. So that's my take on this. Again, I still put the Spider-Man movie a D. So basically a 4 out of 10. But if this movie, if my version were to actually happen, I would say a C. Did I put that as the, I'm pretty sure I put X-Men as C, right? I would put it as a C mainly because while it's not going to be the best, it will make it slightly better and it'll give us the emotional connections we need. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you. All my socials are down in the link below. You can go to my website, figure them all out, and that's the video. Thanks guys for watching. Oh no, I set that to the side.